And on the title page, you've done a good job. You've met all the requirements as to your title, and then the prepared for, prepared by information, the date is in the correct form. However, I would recommend remove the running header from the title page. And then again, this page number has to go on the bottom of the um, page over here. The running head is usually placed in the body of the report, or actually, no, I correct myself. In this assignment, in the report, we don't need the running header. We just need the page numbers, okay? So delete this, and we've already placed that up down there, the Roman numerals, so we'll delete that. So another thing is the title of your report will be bolded. Okay. Notice I'm not changing the font size. Everything is in the same font and everything just bolded. Okay. And this information will be the same. I do recommend moving this in the middle of the sheet unless you are providing other information like giving the university's address over here or anything, which is not required. See, you notice it looks better in the middle, you know? So just put,
Yes.
yeah, just put it in the middle over there, and that those are the two comments I made over there on this page. So you're on track. You're doing a good job right there. So next I came to the abstract, and obviously the abstract is almost not there because I just see two sentences, and that's not enough. But I'll get to that point. I've put some pointers here. What can you add to the abstract? But to begin, this is good. You got the subtitle abstract. You have bolded it. That's how it should be. Now this information should be single spaced. Oh, never mind. This is your title and that is prepared for. Yes, this is how it will be spaced. There will be space between the title and the prepared by information. But this room that you've left here will not be any more than double space. Okay, so you'll start right here, and like you did, everything will be single spaced. Um, hold on just a second. Everything will be single spaced. Now, what can you provide in this abstract? Obviously, this is the rough draft and you haven't complete the abstract. Basically, the abstract is a summary of your report. You will talk briefly about each part that is in the report. You will discuss the background information. Why are you conducting this study? What was the need for it? You will briefly talk about the methods you used. Now, don't go into details, just enough, just like a teaser, okay? I'm going to give you just enough information so that you want to read the rest of the report, okay? So discuss the methods briefly, discuss the major findings, discuss your major recommendations, and then at the end, list your keywords, okay? And I'm going to keep saying this over and over. Make sure you read the sample assignment because that is what is going to guide you into using the right format and documenting the items the way I want you to do. Okay, any questions about the abstract at this point?
It's all clear.
It is clear. That's good. So next we will go to, again, you see the abstract is numbered and that's how we want it. Now we have the table of contents, and the table of contents, however, will not be numbered anymore. Okay. And there's a whole process of making sure how you have numbers up until here and not afterwards. I won't go over that in this meeting because it did take me a while to figure it out myself. But I think in my APA documentation lecture notes, I might have discussed it, but I'm not sure. But if you Google it, that information is there. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing for a second, and I'm going to share with you the sample assignment. Okay, do you see the sample assignment now?
I can see it.
Okay, awesome. So the reason I brought this up is because the rough draft did not have the table of contents, but I know you will be doing it. You know what to do, but just so that everybody can look at it, you will have a title table of contents on the top. And then of course you don't have the summary, you have your first item is introduction, that's going to go on the list. Okay. And the reason I wanted to bring this up is because many of you actually did the table of contents, but the items were not formatted in a very clean way. And what do I mean by that? Notice each category or each subcategory it starts at a margin, at the margin, okay, right here. And then everything that goes into that category is indented by one tab. Okay, so all the subtitles like introduction, research methods, results, conclusion, everything is on the margin and they're bolded. And then now every subcategory that goes into that subtitle is tabbed by one tab, or is indented by one tab. And then the other thing is, even if you don't want to do these dots, you know, if you can, that's fine. If you cannot, you need to have all these numbers aligned together. Okay, you cannot have 1 here and 2 there and then 4 there. No, they all need to be numbered, and they have to absolutely match the document. It shouldn't be there are numbers here, but when I go look for number 7, it's not really what's listed over here. They should match. So you will have all your items numbered. And then notice, and I believe I also mentioned this in my previous video, that anything before the table of the contents and the table of contents itself will not be added into this list. The list starts with introductions, which basically is our next step. I'm going to stop sharing again, and then meanwhile, if you have any questions, let me know. I am going to share with you your sample again. So table of contents, make sure you center the title, and then remember you also have to bold it. All subtitles need to be bolded, okay? And then you'll start with your summary here, and then next your methods, and then tab, and then you'll start writing your tasks over there. So in my comments here, I said, check the sample assignment, make sure all the numbers are properly aligned. And then I said, do not add page numbers for the table of contents, which I was saying, don't add this, okay? Now you have used an illustration, which we will be looking at in a minute. And I'm glad this came up because most of the students probably have this question. In my previous message and my video, I said that you don't need a visual anymore, okay? For you guys, yes, that is optional now. You're not required. However, if you think it brings strength to your piece, you can go ahead and add graphics to your report. Also, I'm giving you the option of either you can create your graphics from raw data, or you can get a graphics that's already out there and it really brings weight to your report, or it brings strength to your argument, okay? So if you use an illustration, that will be placed in the table of contents. It will not, however, be on a separate page. It will continue as a part of the list, but then you'll have the illustrations at the end of the other information, okay? And same thing for everything. Up until the table of contents, like the memo will have its own page. If you have some area left here, that's fine. The title page will have its own page. Again, no need to make sure the abstract goes over that page too. Abstract will have its own page, and it will definitely be longer than this. Then the table of contents will have its own page. But following that, with the introduction and everything following that, we will not leave any gaps, no empty spaces, okay? And I will probably go over that in a minute as well, where I can actually direct you to an example. Now, let me take you to the visual quickly. This is the visual that has been added over here, and I'm trying to take this down so that everything is on one page. And yes, this is how you will do it. Only thing is, this has to be single spaced, so it is single here. That means I just need to do this, okay? So you will label your graph as a figure, all visuals are, if they're tables, they're labeled tables. Others, whether it's a graph, a bar graph, a pie chart, whatever, they're labeled as a figure and the number one, because this is the number one or the only figure you have going to have in your report. And then the title of the report, then you I mean of the graph, and then you have the graph. In this case, one has um, used a visual that was from another source. Am I right?
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, so, and that's fine. If you think this is going to bring strength to your report, you can do that. But what you need to do is what he has done over here. You will credit the source, the original source you're getting this information from. So this part is done well, and this is how you will do it. Now, where you place it in your report will depend where you're sharing the related information, okay? I'm going to go back to introduction. So right after the table of contents, the first thing we have is the introduction. Again, with the introduction, we're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to move this title in the middle, and then we're going to bold it. Notice I'm bolding things. I'm not changing font size. I'm not, well, this should be Arial 12. And let's do that. It probably, your original submission was in Arial 12, but when I opened it on as a new document, it probably changed that. And no, I don't really want to do, well, let's try doing it. So Arial and 12, okay? So that's what you need to use as your font size. And introduction, bolded. Everything is the same font size and the same font style, okay? In the middle, bolded, and you have the introduction. I did read your introduction. It is on the track. You do have a few, let's say, a proofreading pieces that if you proofread it, you will see maybe, you know, something here missing, maybe the flow is not right. So just proofread it, but overall the information that you need is there. So good job on that. Okay. So it says over here, yeah, one point I did notice is that you mentioned that this report was put together or required by Professor Kaur, right? Or Dr. Kaur. That is fine because that's how it is really. But the thing is, remember, you are relating this report to the original memo, true? And your memo was written for Dr. Pamela Obiomon, and so address it to the same receiver, okay? I like how you put parenthetical citations at the end of wherever you use sources. Only thing I would say here is this, let me zoom in. This period here is not required. It's unnecessary. Remove that. You have your parentheses, author's last name, comma, your publication, close the parentheses, and a period. That is the correct way to do it. And notice, everybody, that he's used numeric findings over here. And as I mentioned in one of my comments or videos before, that anytime you use numeric findings, make sure you credit the original source. And this is how you do it. Okay. Any questions?
None so far.
Awesome. I liked what you've done. There are parts that are missing, but they are missing because it was a rough draft. But what you've done, you're on track. So very good. And then I've highlighted this area, and I guess I bolded it too. It's because I liked it. I liked what you did, and this is your introduction, and you're briefly saying what you did to get to your final results, and you're briefly mentioning that you studied or you will be studying the University of Pittsburgh and Purdue University and Indiana University. And that is what this assignment is asking you to do, to find an issue that is affecting your student body in your school, and then look at, and nobody is unique in this situation. All schools are facing similar circumstances. What have other schools done? You will have to study multiple schools before you can choose, you know what, I like what they are doing. I like what they are doing. So get together 2 or 3 different ideas, or 3 or 4 different ideas, and then put them together and try to draw a conclusion which would be a better solution for our university. Is that how you did it too?
That's what I did.
Okay, yes, and I like that. And that's why I highlighted this part, that this is exactly what I'm asking for. Next, you go to methods, and every time again, one, we don't want any extra spaces, so we're going to go back spaces and make sure those spaces are gone. Now, if I do that, now it's not double spaced between paragraphs or between the next item that we're sharing. And in this case, again, we will center it and bold it. This is our next subcategory or next subtitle. Okay, so, and this page number is not going to be here anymore. Okay, this page number, once you start the introduction, the page numbers will actually go up here on in the header area. And that, again, you don't go to the header, you go to page number, you go to top of the page, and you want it in the top right corner, so you click on that, and that's where the page number will go. Only the Roman numbers, which I'm sure it's messed up again because of what I did, but only the Roman numbers are placed at the bottom. The table of content will not have any numbering at all up here or down there, okay? But this is how you'll place a number for anything after the introduction. Next, we move on to, and this is a good, healthy introduction. That means 1 full page. That's wonderful. Now we move to the methods, and everybody who is watching this video notice that the methods only about half a page. And the author knows, he's already mentioned that this is my rough draft and I've not completed it, and we all know that. The good part, again, I look at this and I see sources have been used and cited. Okay, again, I'm going to go in and remove that extra period over there and put the period actually after the parentheses. Okay, now I'm going to briefly discuss what would go into the methodology, because many students had that question. They have their summary, they have their introduction, they even have the results, they even have recommendations, but when it came to methodology, they're like, what am I supposed to do? So I don't know if you guys, I'm trying to focus on these. So here I made a comment or recommendation stating that basically in the methods portion or in methodology, you will discuss the actual methods that you used to get to those results. What did you do? The results didn't just produce themselves, right? You had to do something. You had to log into something. You had to research something. Exactly those steps are what is going to go into the methodology or the methods portion. So task 1, you'll talk about the first step. For example, I said you can do acquire basic understanding of the issue, and here I'm sharing example. Let's say you read the Houston Chronicle website to find what is the latest in news about this issue about our school. Is it out there? Is someone saying something about it? So if whatever method you use to inform yourself of the first step or of the understanding of the issue, you will list that as your first task. Okay. Your next task, whatever you did. In this case, I'm just assuming that the student will probably research what Prairie View is doing or has to say or what's in place. Sometimes this kind of information is not openly available to the students, but you can still look at, like most of the abuse cases or drugs cases and all that, what kind of help is there? Counseling, you can go look at that kind of websites, Title IX websites. If you're talking about funding, about loans, you can look at what kind of financial aid is out there. So all of that will be done using the Prairie View website, right? And your title will say conducted research using PVAMU website. But now in the details, you will talk about what you looked at. There's no need to change anything. You talk about exactly what you did. Because my issue was regarding student loans, I looked at the financial aid assistance available to students, and these are my findings. This is what I found. You can list your findings in bullet format or in paragraph format, whichever you think will get you more attention. Okay. Next, the third step, I took your example and I said conducted research using University of Pittsburgh's website. List whatever you did using that website, right? Obviously, you looked for details as to what that university is doing in regards to the issue you're discussing. In the same way, the fourth university or the fourth step, it's actually the third university. You got the Purdue, and then you also actually have a fourth university, the Indiana University. So that will be your next step and the details that went into that research. Okay. So in this way, you will share actually the steps that you took to conduct this research and get to your results. So whatever the next step is, your results. How did you get here is what's going to go in here. And how are your how is the format going to look like? I have stopped sharing and I'm going to share the sample assignment again. No, that's a rough draft. Yeah, this is a sample. And share. Let's look what the sample looks like. So this is our summary that we're not doing summary. Here's the introduction. Here, read these little annotations. They give you a lot of information. Yes, the topic is not the same as yours, but these, and because the topic is not yours, you don't want to read so much of this as much as you want to read these annotations. Read these annotations, they will help you. So we were looking at the methods and how to format them, okay? So basic information is given and then the tasks, first task, okay? And in this case also it says acquired basic understanding of whatever their issue was, right? And this is what they did to acquire that basic understanding. And so notice that each task is labeled as a task 1, task 2, task 3, and then it is all bolded. You don't need to change the font color, but you will bold it, okay? And then you can or cannot, if you don't feel like, you don't need to. See, this task is not bulleted, but this one is, depending upon the information you're sharing, okay? So same way, the second task, the third task, notice everything is flushed to the left side at the margin. Nothing is indented. Even when you're starting a new paragraph, it's not indented. Everything is single spaced, only double spaced within paragraphs. Okay, so this is what your tasks will look like, and this is how you will add information to the tasks area. And I think this is a rough draft. Yeah. So to the methods area or methods portion of the report. Okay. You got any questions there?
Yes, I do have a question. So for my first paragraph, do you think I should maybe split it up and keep it more general and then use the information where I'm talking about the PVAMU library database?
You're specifically
for task 1?
You're specifically talking about this paragraph, right?
That paragraph.
Okay, let's listen what this paragraph is saying.
Our research began on the PVAMU library database, where the more credible sources are listed and archived. This section will review the areas for improvement from 3 universities, the University of Pittsburgh, Purdue University, and Indiana University. Each university presents a different approach to solve this problem, such as offering graduating seniors student loan relief incentives, providing an income share agreement program as an alternative to private student loans and Parent Plus loans, and implementing resources and programs to reduce borrowing. Oh yeah, oh, definitely. I really like what you put over there. You basically summarized everything you did in a short paragraph. And then, yes, from here, you can move to task 1. And task 1 can be how you acquired the basic information first, and then the task 2, what did you find with Prairie View website, and then you can go into, this could be your task 3. I've not read it, but I think you're talking about more about what you found at the Pittsburgh University, right?
Right. Oh, so you're saying that my first paragraph where it says our research could be my task 1?
No, that will be your opening introduction.
Opening.
Okay.
Okay.
For the method.
And then, and then I'll create my task 1, right?
Your task 1 will be, although you've already shared it here, but now you're sharing each step. So share one, step 1 or task 1 is how did I acquire the basic information. Step 2, how did I inquire detailed information about peer review. Now it could be that peer review information is where you got, or peer review website is where you got your basic information from. So that something that I'm calling as task 1 and task 2 could be just one task. It's up to you how you feel about that, okay? Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, so like over here, I'm saying task 1, conducted basic understanding. Task 2, conducted peer review website search. Maybe some students only conducted this research to find the basic information. So this could be just, both of this could be squeezed into one task, okay? And then you will go into, yes, this will be your second or third task, this university. What did you find? You'll have to give more details because we are talking about steps that you did and briefly discuss the findings that you found. Okay. So next you have the results section. Here you will provide the details of the results for each task you performed. So in the methods portion, you discussed the steps you took to conduct your research, to conduct your findings. And in this portion, in the results, you will discuss what results did you draw from each task you completed. So just like in the methods portion, each task was labeled as a task and had its title that was bolded. You'll do the same thing in the results. So you have your subtitle results and task 1, which was up here in the methods. It was task 1 there too. So the same way you will have task 1 and what were your findings, what were your results from the data that you collected, from the information that you collected through completing that task. Okay, in the same way you will have your task 2 and then you will discuss the results of that. So this is how the results portion for your report will work. And following the results, you will have regarding the results, you will have as many results as tasks you had in the methodology section. So if you conducted 4 different tasks or 5, you will have results for each one of those tasks and you will discuss them in that results section. Next you have the conclusion section. In this section, you will explain what your findings or results mean. Okay? Here you will discuss which result will work best for your situation. Here you can also abandon the ideas, the results that are not going to work for your current situation. Results, we actually compare the findings. Okay, we want to say, let me label these as A, B, and C. A said this, B said that, and D said that. Now in my results, I'm going to compare everything and then I'm going to come up with, after a comparison, I believe that this is more beneficial for our university. Or maybe I want a part of A and a part of C and then recommend doing this, another D or Z or whatever you want to call it, right? Does that make any sense?
That makes sense.
Okay, yeah. So add the details about your findings. What did you find? Yes, you researched them. What did you find? What were the major points that attracted your attention? Put them over there, okay? And make sure nothing is spaced more than double space. And all of this is good, but we need to remove, let me get my keypad, this extra space. And then again, we are going to center this information and we're going to bold it, right? And then we don't have our results yet. We have jumped straight to the visual. And like I said, where do you place the visual will depend on where you actually are discussing that visual. Because there's no use of putting in a visual over here and not discussing it at all in your actual report. You will actually address it in your paragraph and say, as shown in figure 1, and then discuss what the findings are from this particular graph or figure you're using, okay? Because if you don't add it, then I will probably leave you a note saying it's a standalone figure or standalone graphics, which means it is there, but it's there for just show's sake. It was not used or incorporated in your work, okay?
I have been following the sample. And so like it really helped me for my introduction and then doing the methods. So it definitely helps for those areas and the whole thing in general. But as you can see, that's how I set mine. I kind of structured it that way.
Yeah.
Kind of like the way they were structuring it. And I'm glad you addressed the task because that was a really big question that I had. Like, should I bolt the task here just like they did in the sample?
Yeah. Yeah. You will follow the sample as closely as you can. And the task was actually an issue or a problem that many students were facing, and that's why I was like, maybe we should discuss this. So results, we've discussed what goes in the results. If this is a piece where you want to discuss the data in your results, then yes, this would be a good thing to share in here, or you put it in the methods. It doesn't matter. It has to place either in the results or in the method portion, somewhere in the report. Okay. Next, we have the conclusion section. And as I already discussed earlier, in the conclusion, you will basically conclude which result will work best for your situation. Next, you get the recommendations, and I didn't see any recommendations at all. I do understand this is a rough draft, but in the recommendations, basically now you've concluded, now you've come up with the results, and in the recommendations is now where you will discuss, you will say that this is what we need to do to resolve this problem. These are the steps. I write over here in my comments here, I said, what course of action should be taken is what you will talk about in the recommendation. What do you recommend the dean should do in regards to resolving this matter? Okay, that's what you'll just talk about. And you will talk about the steps involved. Then you have the reference list. To do the reference list, let us look at the APA style of formatting reference list. So we're looking at how to cite a web page or a piece from a web page in APA style, because that's what you are using as sources when you're searching university websites and all that. So if you have a web page that has all the information and you have the author, you will provide the author's last name, comma, the initials of their first and middle name, and in the parentheses, you will provide the year, month, and date, followed by a period, title of the piece. And notice that the title of the piece in APA style is not put in quotation marks, it's rather italicized. Then you have the name of the site and then the URL, and this is a full example of how it will be done. And then you will be faced by websites where the website doesn't have a author, but it's created either by a group of people, or you don't even have the name of the group, but you have the name of the source or the article that you're using. Let's look at the scenario where we have a group first. If you know the name of the group, you will provide that name followed by a period, and the same way you have the date, period, title of the page, italicized, site name, and then the URL. Now you have a source that doesn't have the author or the group who created the information. In that case, you will place the title of the page in the front. Okay? Again, the title of the page is not put in quotation marks, it is italicized, followed by a period. Then in the parentheses, you will provide the year, month, date, followed by a period, name of the site, retrieved, month, date, year, and then the URL. Okay? So this is how you will cite your source in APA format. Notice how you indent. This is called a hanging indent. So you start your citation at the margin, and each following line is indented by one tab. And how do you do that? So you will basically place your citations on the reference page, and if you highlight them by placing your cursor on it, and once it's highlighted, place your cursor on the highlighted area, right click to get to paragraphs, and then click on paragraph. And here first make sure all these numbers are at a 0. So let's put this to a 0. We don't want this multiple at this point. We need it at a double space, so we're going to put it on double. And here in indentation or under special, we are going to say hanging. So that's how we create a hanging indent. So under paragraph, under special, we make put it to hanging. All these numbers are set at 0, and now we click on we select double in this option, and we say OK, and there you go. Now automatically your reference list is spaced correctly, it's indented correctly, it is cited correctly. Okay, notice that the list is in alphabetic order. We're not numbering it as 1, 2, 3, or we're not putting it in the order we actually use the sources in our report. So in this way, you will actually cite your sources in the APA format. I'm showing you an example of just 3 sources. I think you are required to use 6 or 7 sources. Check your prompt and make sure you use the exact number that is required. And also, when you list a source in this list, make sure you've actually used it in your report, and vice versa. If you've cited something in the text of your report, make sure it's listed in the reference list as well. Although the other things, other parts I said there should be no extra space, the reference list, no matter how much space was left on the previous page, you will always start it at a new page. Okay?
Okay. Oh, I have another question. So for the like how I have results here, is it do you want us to start like a new start a new page with like the results, like
that's what I've been meaning by hold on, let me go back to your question. Another thing I want to share here is, look at this. I'm trying to put in the figure here, but this figure is not fitting there, so I now have all this empty space. I don't want to see that. You don't do it that way. What you do is you will try to fit the visual to your space. Now it's fitting, but can I make it any bigger? So I will give it a shot. No, any there, right there. I can make it a little bit wider, okay? But I'm going to try to fit it in this space. I will not have any empty space. Now you will see that the reference or the source citation do not follow the visual. That is fine, but I don't want to see a huge gap. Now coming back to your question, that's what I have been saying, that I don't want any gaps. Let's say your introduction finished here, okay? I don't want this. I don't want introductions and all this gap and then next page methods. Although most technical reports will require you to do that, okay? But I don't want it to be that way. So you will not have any extra spaces. Everything will be single spaced with double spacing between categories and between paragraphs. Did that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
And did that answer your question?
You did.
Okay, and now I'm trying to put back that information, and there you go. And in this case, it just so happens that your introduction takes the whole page. So we have the methods on next page, but see, results or conclusions, let's say we have them, let's say you have all the tasks, it is a complete draft, and you didn't finish the entire page, so results will start right after. All right, seems like this should conclude our session. Thank you for sharing your draft with us and allowing me to record everything, and thank you for participating in this little session.